is going on, Cubs fam? We are back for another Disney Sorcerer's Arena video, and my people, we are here today to talk about one of my favorite subjects, and that is actually not my favorite subject, squad placement. This is totally new to those of us who've been playing Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes. Squad placement just doesn't really matter in Galaxy of Heroes, mostly. There are some occasions where it matters, like with mass assisting, but in Disney Sorcerer's Arena, it absolutely matters because you have different kinds of area of effect attacks, either flanking attacks or adjacent attacks, both of which are going to determine kind of where you want your tanks to be, where you want your more squishy characters to be, where you want your attackers to be, etc. And because it's a new concept for me, I have brought on a resident expert from Disney Sorcerer's Arena who's been playing this game for quite some time. He's also been playing other games that deal with this placement importance, and that is the one and only Unstable Gamer. What's going on, Unstable Gamer? Welcome to the video.
Hey man, how's it going? Glad to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, awesome. So we have this graphic here, and we're going to rely heavily on this graphic here. I'm actually going to dump us both off so that we can look at this. But let's just go through and talk a little bit about this Unstable Gamer. And again, big thanks to Azteld who put this together. This graphic is very educational, and I'll leave a lot of you asked for a hard copy of these graphics in my last video. I'm going to drop a link down below that will link you directly to Azteld's Twitter, where he shared this, so you can check that out, and be sure to go ahead and give him a follow. So as we look at this first little bit here, it's just going to kind of give you an idea of where the teams are going to be and where you're going to be able to summon units. And then here's just a general concept of how you're going to need to think of the AoE ability. So you got three different kinds of AoE. You've got this one right here, which is affecting every single character, whether they're summoned or whether they're standing in general. And then you've got some flanking attacks, which will affect a row, which is like Aladdin's Carpet, or like Duke-a-Boom, he's going to affect the adjacent targets. And so, Unstable, from where you sit, talk to us a little bit about this and how you need to approach this from a placement standpoint.
Well, I think the most important part is just controlling the damage, minimizing the damage to your team, and maximizing the damage to your opponent's team, right? So if you get these concepts down and you get your placement right, you can take advantage of that. And like I was talking about a little bit earlier, you can really change the tide of battle, especially when it comes to PvP. In most game modes, you could do that, but PvP is pretty critical, especially when you're up against a live player.
Yeah, definitely. Live PvP, you cannot rely on mistakes. Like, they are going to take full advantage of the playfield as much as possible. So let's look at this. So I want to talk a little bit about tank placement, because probably one of the most important characters you are going to place in the field of play is your tank. And when we talk about tank, we're talking about somebody who can taunt, not just somebody who is heavy on the health side of things, somebody who can actually force the attacks in their direction. So Azteld's graphic here, Unstable Gamer, he shows that the ideal placement for a tank is here in this bottom left spot, not this top left spot. Can you talk a little bit about the logic there?
Yeah, I think he's placed it here really well. So shout out to him for this graphic. But if you put your tank on the far left or far right there, so he's got it there on the far left.
You could do far right too, right?
Yeah. So you're going to minimize that adjacent damage, right? Whereas you put them in the back, you can see where you're going to hit those adjacent targets right up on front. Yep. So if you're using your tank and you're taunting the damage to your tank, which you should, right? It's an RPG.
Yep.
It's going to just minimize how many characters are going to take some damage there, and you really want to separate them from your squishies, which he shows here as well.
And your squishies, for anyone who's new to these kind of games, squishy is referring to a character who has low health. I wouldn't have actually thought to explain that, but I got my sister into this game, and I was explaining placement to her, and I was saying words like tanky and squishy. She's like, what are you talking about? So tanky characters, your very healthy characters, take a lot of hits to beat. Squishy characters who are maybe glass cannons. They can do a lot of damage, but they're not going to take very many hits before they are dead. And so you got your tank placed bottom left or bottom right. For this video, we're just going to assume bottom left. Now, you want to talk about who you're going to place next to those tanks as well. And so you'll notice here, you've got squishy DPS up here because you've got a tank over here. You're going to want to avoid any of those adjacent attacks or those flanking attacks with your squishy DPS characters. So those are the characters that are doing a lot of damage. They're going to be your squishiest character. They're going to die the fastest. Talk to us a little bit about this, Unstable Gamer, and why this is important and kind of how you think through this.
Well, so I think it's because you want to focus the damage on one side of the battlefield.
Yeah.
Especially when you start taking a look at the adjacent damage and chaining damage that your opponents can take. So if you separate the battlefield from your squishies and your tanks, you're going to draw all that damage over to where your deepest health pools are, and it's going to allow your attackers and your healers and your support characters to really get off the attacks and the support that they need in order to keep your tanks alive and charging through the battle there, so you can make it through to the end and
Absolutely.
win. Right?
Yep. There you go. And you can see here, you can have a different strategy slightly over on this side. This is going to be a strategy against heavy flanking attacks. You may try a little bit different against heavy adjacent attacks. That's going to apply a little bit more to Squad Arena. And when I say Squad Arena, I mean Tournament. That was the Galaxy of Heroes player coming out and me calling it Squad Arena. But that's when you know what you're attacking. In live PvP, you may not know what you're going to face. And so you may just need to pick between which strategy works based on what you're seeing the most. There's some other tips and tricks here, which I'll let you guys read when you check out the graphics. So let's check out some footage of this working in live play. So check out Azteld coming up with, he's showing you here. Let's just look at these flanking attacks. This is how this works right here. And he's going to talk through a lot of these. So let's talk about this. So here's a flanking attack. And you can see here, Manticore taunting in the middle. But you got his other tank. He's got two tanks there. Sully was on the other side. And then adjacent attack here. You can see, I think it's going to be probably Ian's first special, which does adjacent damage. And now you're going to maximize that by hitting that guy right there. And then all three of them take damage, right? All right. And then here's a mass AoE as well. And this is just a great graphic from Azteld, or great video, kind of giving a summary of all of these. Any other tips and tricks, Unstable Gamer, that you think that we should outline with this?
I think like one I was thinking about was chaining attacks specifically. So like when you have characters like Judy Hopps,
yeah,
and you can chain to 1 to 3 different targets. Depending on the character that you choose and depending on taunting, right?
Yeah.
It's going to limit what you can do. But when you do chaining attacks, so let's take Judy Hopps, for instance. She does 1 to 3 chaining attacks. If you start that chain on the far left or the far right,
yes,
then you're going to maximize that chain. Whereas if you start in the back left or right, or even in the middle, there's a chance for that chain to go the wrong direction. So if you're in the back left and Judy Hopps goes to the left there, then you're only going to chain 1 where you could have maximized, because it's 1 to 3, right? You could have maximized all 3. So just something to keep in mind there as far as chaining. And if your tank is in just in a bad spot, right? Someone put it in the back or something like that, then maybe you want to save your chain for a little bit later. So chaining is pretty important. When it comes to chaining as well, there are some specific, let's take Ariel, for instance. Ariel works really well with Aladdin and his slow, because you can do Aladdin's carpet. You can slow like a whole row. You flank the back or the front row.
Right.
Typically, I'll flank that front row.
Because you get more damage, right?
Yep. You slow. You have an opportunity to slow that entire row. And then Ariel's basic will chain to additional targets that have slow. So then you're going to chain damage to those 3 targets if you get slow on them. So just a couple different things when it comes to damage and placement and the types of damage and debuffs and everything that kind of play into that.
So this is all really good stuff to think about. And this video here, we might not finish the whole video here. I'm actually I'll leave a link to the rest of this. There's a lot of really good strategy tips in here. He talks about using Duke Kaboom, for example, to take care of the evasion for Aladdin and Jasmine. One thing I will say, if you're kind of new to these kind of games, I would be don't get too overwhelmed by this kind of thing. It's a lot of strategy. It's a lot of getting into the weeds and trying to maximize your effectiveness in the game. But at the end of the day, Just have fun with it. I hope there's something you guys take away from this to make yourselves a little bit more effective at the game. So let's do an example here. I'm going to build my team and talk through how we place it. So first and foremost, I'm going to place my tank. Now, right now, I'm running Simba as my tank. Doesn't he look good, Unstable Gamer, that little lion cub skin?
Yeah. Looks very cool.
So next to Simba, I'm running, let's see, I'm still running Syndrome, I'm running Aladdin, I'm running Jasmine, or actually, no, I took Jasmine out. I'm running Big Bad Wolf, I'm running Judy Hopps. So next to Simba, who would be your pick for placing there? So we're going to want somebody who can take some hits, right?
Yep. Yeah, so for my tanking, usually so who do you have here? I'm sorry.
So we got Big Bad Wolf, we've got Aladdin. I like Aladdin in the front row. We've got Syndrome and we've got Hopps.
Yeah, so typically I'll put my Big Bad Wolf behind my tank.
Okay, and I kind of like that too because Big Bad Wolf is also my highest geared character. All right, so then we'll put Aladdin in the front row. I like him there because he's going to gain evasion. So adjacent attacks and flanking attacks for Simba, he's going to be able to tend to avoid those. And then back row, I'm thinking Syndrome. He's a bit squishy. Would you agree with that, or Judy Hopps?
Yeah, so I think Syndrome's a good idea for that as well.
Okay.
And then Judy Hop there on the end. I think that works out pretty well.
Judy Hopps on the end, and then we will do our 2 spells, which we got the bird, and we've got some explosives. All right, and we got Syndrome selected for lead. So, okay, let's do a battle and see how this works. We'll see who we get. Hopefully we don't get Shan Yu, because if we do, we're probably going to show a loss on the video, okay?
Iago's awesome, isn't he?
I love Iago, man.
Oh, man. Love
All
that
right.
guy.
So here we go. Now, you're seeing this a bit delayed, but his Big Bad Wolf is going to go first. We got Syndrome, and then we've got Aladdin. So he's going to go straight after my Big Bad Wolf here. Now, here's what I'm going to want to do. So Aladdin's going to get a turn, and wow, he didn't lead off with a stun. He's going straight for the AoE. That's going to help me get to my spells faster, too. Okay, so here we go. I am going to flank the front row, especially because Aladdin has evasion right now. I want to have full effect there. Slow down Syndrome, Oogie Boogie, and the Big Bad Wolf. Okay, now I've got Judy Hopps, so I want to hit either Syndrome or Big Bad Wolf. I'm going to go for Syndrome with this ability because we're going to get max effect there. There we go. Yep. We got all of them, and we took out Aladdin's evasion. That's very good. Now, I would like to take Syndrome out first, I think. So I'm going to do Big Bad Wolf second special. We'll save the AoE. We want to save his spells. Okay, and that would have taken him out, but Genie took care of that for us. And now we've got Zazu. Or not Zazu. Iago. We're going to take him down the front. There we go. We got that. And then I'm going to look at the turn order here. Oogie Boogie's going to go soon. Let's take out... I'm thinking... let's slow down Big Bad Wolf. We don't want him doing anything. All right, we took him all the way out. Now we're going to taunt with Simba. Heal the Big Bad Wolf just a bit. All right, he's saying good job. All right, I'm going to say good job too. Good sportsmanship. He's bringing his spells. He's got Duke Kaboom. All right, and see there? Big Bad Wolf and Aladdin took it, but Syndrome and Hopps took nothing because that was an adjacent attack. That's why we put Simba there. All right, we're going to wait for his Genie to go. Oh, did he quit? Oh, no, he didn't quit. I was like, oh, no. We're going to have slow... Okay, here we go. Now we're going to send out our explosives. We have no choice but to hit Oogie Boogie. There we go. We're going to throw a donut. Boom! All right, now we're going to do a nice AoE. You love to see it. And then we're just going to be able to pretty much auto from here. Nice victory. So, anyway, there you go. Squad placement basics. Fill up the comments below with any other attack strategy tips you guys have for squad placement. Unstable Gamer, anything else you think that we should get out there before we end the video on squad placement?
No, I think that graphic covered it very well. I think we also showed a really good example of this right here regarding placement and the type of damage that you're going to come across. So I think everything turned out pretty well. So great job on Aztel, right? Great job on that, and that was a nice battle right there. So good job.
Yeah, W in the chat for Aztel as well. Unstable, tell us where we can find you.
You can find me on YouTube, Unstable, Unstable Gamer. The last E is a 3, all one word. So,
okay. Unstable Gamer, and I'll make it easy for you guys. Link is down below in the description, so you can go sub to him. He is producing Disney Sorcerer's Arena content on a very regular basis, and if you guys want to see more videos from us, let us know down in the comments below. All right, Cubs fan, thanks for joining me for the video, and as always, my brothers, don't forget